Hello, sir. I would really like to buy this house right here. Will I make 100K a year? Okay. Hey, I'll offer you... Okay, let's try this one more time. Hello, sir. I would really like to buy this house right here. Will I make 100K a year? Why not? Well, that didn't work out too well. Man, what a good burger. I hope I get approved for this other house I applied for. I'm already paying 3K a month for this place I'm staying at now. It would be way cheaper to move into this house I applied for. Oh, that's them now. Denied! I want to buy a house. However, there's a slight issue with that because the prices are outrageous now. It seems like wherever you go, it doesn't matter where you are, the price for housing is just absolutely insane now. It's just within the last 5 years, everything just took a turn for the worse and then just skyrocketed everything. We all know what this event is. It doesn't need any explaining. But you know, we're the most technologically advanced generation. We have all this technology, all this AI stuff, all these connections to all these different sorts of information. But yet we have the lowest amount of purchasing power compared to every other generation up until this point. Back in the 50s, relative to the prices now, the average price for a house was about only like 2 times your annual income on average.
So my income right now is $4,400. In today's money, that's more like $41,000. We're going to adjust everything for modern dollars, in this case, 2023 dollars. I own that home. I paid $84,000 for this thing, again, in modern dollars. That's actually not that much more than my yearly salary.
Fast forward to now, and it's more like 5 or 6 times, maybe even 10 times the average income now. Now, I know this can be excused by saying, oh yeah, but we just make more money now. Well, yes, but that doesn't explain this whole thing. That doesn't explain this. It seems like if you want to live on your own now, if you want to buy your own property and just live on your own, you need a little bit more than just the average salary now. Because in the state of Florida where I live, the median price is around $400,000. So if you wanted to buy your own house and live there comfortably alone, you're gonna need to be making at least 6 figures. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure the majority of people are not making 6 figures, especially when rent is eating all your paychecks one by one while trying to save for a house. And every half-decent home already has 20 offers within the first nanosecond of it being posted. Even the tour guide isn't taking you seriously because you don't look like you make that kind of money. Now, you may not be able to fix the economy overnight, but there is one thing you have control over, and that being yourself. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. Teach Hanley is here to save you! They've got skincare systems for pretty much every guy's needs. Anti-aging, sensitive skin, oily skin, you name it. Personally, I use their acne system because it works. It comes with 3 steps. Salicylic acid face wash to keep your skin clean and fight breakouts. Glycolic acid pads to exfoliate and keep pores clean. And acne serum to target and prevent blemishes. Since I started, my skin looks clearer, redness is down, and I actually feel more confident, whether I'm in a meeting, networking, or just existing in this overpriced housing market. And that's the thing. Building routines like this has a trickle-down effect. More confidence helps you crush it at work, make more connections, and get closer to big goals, like finally affording a home. And Teach Hanley is hooking you up with 40% off your first box, plus a free gift worth $20. Just click my link in the description to get started. And once again, thank you Teach Hanley for sponsoring today's video. You know, even more recently, as just 30 years ago, the average income was around between like 30 and 40 grand per year. And you know, people were living comfortably, very comfortably on their own. Now, why would you want to live on your own? Well, because this is more of a personal thing to me. I want to live on my own because for a sense of independency and because there are heavy social implications that if you still don't have your own place into your 20s, then you probably look like this and are stuck in permanent adolescence. And just that I don't have to deal with other people's crap in the morning whenever I try to like do anything, and I won't have to be asked where I'm going at any given time. I could just get up and leave wherever, whenever, do whatever I want to the house. I could walk around naked. But of course, you know, living with other people is significantly cheaper than living on your own because, you know, the bills get split. You're not paying the full price for everything. Even that seems to be on the decline now. And you know, most people would live with their girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever you're living with, roommate, spouse. It seems like there's a trend now of that becoming less and less common. Less and less people are becoming independent now and relying relying more on our parents. Now, it's not a bad thing to live with your parents. It's perfectly fine. But ideally, you don't really want to do that. You don't really want to be living with your parents into your 30s because you just don't want to. You want your own place. You know, if you want your own sense of independence, you want your own house, because a house is an investment for you. It's a long-term investment that's only going to grow in value. You know, once you get a mortgage, you know, once you sign a house, then you're stuck only paying that rate. You're only going to pay that rate. It's not going to raise throughout the years. You know, it's not like rent to where you're paying this one price one year that is all of a sudden inflated the next year. No, it's just one constant rate for 30 years. A 30-year loan, you know, 30-year payment, because that's normal. That's normally how it is. You know, you pay a house for 30 years. It's not very often that you see someone just buy a house cash. Not very many people have like $400,000 just sitting around, just straight up buy it outright. Now, what is going on with the market? Because, you know, normally what the steps are to buying a house is normally you move out and you go into an apartment, because an apartment is, you know, cheaper than a mortgage. But now, you know, we're getting to the point to where even rent is freaking crazy now. It's like the average price of rent in my area is what you would have been paying for a mortgage 10 years ago. It's just insane. Trying to buy your first house, if you want like any semblance of like a chance to be able to buy a house, then chances are you're not going to be doing that on your own. You're going to need someone else to help you. Just fine, you know, you just get a significant other and then have them also get a high paying job. Having two people having high paying jobs. Now that's a lot easier said than done, of course.
I'm gonna strap on my job helmet and squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into jobland, where jobs grow on jobbies.
But let's say you do that. Okay, yes, perfect, great. So now let's look for a house. So we're looking for a house, and you definitely can't live next to work because you work in a populated area. That area is too expensive, so we have to go out of town. So now we're looking out of town. We're about 40 minutes to about an hour away from where you work, which is fine. You know, you can make that drive. That's not bad. But now it's a struggle because where are the affordable houses? Because the houses that our parents were able to afford on a single salary now are now worth about 10 times what they used to be. Now, I know, of course, that's always just going to happen with inflation. It's just going to happen eventually. Stuff is going to rise in price, of course, but it doesn't rise this much. This isn't normal. What chance does the new generation, do new homeowners have of even getting a house? That's not even to mention interest rates. Oh my goodness. To finance a house, on average, the interest rates in my area at the moment are around 7%, which doesn't sound bad compared to, you know, how they used to be, the 50s and 60s, to where back then it used to be 12 to 13%. But when you look at it to relative to where the prices are now, the prices back then for a house on average was about like 40 to 50 grand. 12 to 13% of that's not that much. That's about like $8,000 extra. But if you're to add 7% to the median cost of a house in my area, which is $400,000, 7% of $400,000 is $28,000. You're paying half the cost in interest alone of what a house used to cost 70 years ago. That's not the full picture though. Here, let's break it down even more. Let's say you finance a $400,000 home and you decide to put 3% down, meaning that you just paid 3% of the entire mortgage upon buying the house. 3% of 400,000 is 12 grand. So now we're only financing for 388,000. 388,000 for 30 years at 6% interest. Your monthly payments are roughly going to look like this, including property tax and homeowner's insurance. So how much would this home actually cost in the end? Well, let's take $2,500 a month for 360 months, because that's 30 years, and you get... No, that can't be right. And we're not even getting into if you live in a good area yet. If you're even safe in this area, you know, you can always just move somewhere else cheaper, which, yeah, you can do that. But if you go to a cheaper area, then you have to factor in, okay, if I live too far away, I'm gonna have to get a different job. How much does this job pay me? And then, you know, if you're not living alone, if you're living with someone else, then okay, now we gotta find an extra job for you too. How much are the jobs paying for you now? Can we still afford a house in this area? Okay, you know what? This isn't gonna be sustainable on these incomes. So you go back to the cheaper areas near where you work, and you're looking at them and you're starting to realize there's a reason why these places are cheaper than the rest. So okay, you know, house is out of the question. Fine, let's rent. So you rent, and then slowly every year, as the economy grows, as the area grows around you, the rent prices go up. They're going up and up and up. But what's this? Your salary that you get from work isn't growing as much with the rent. It can't support it. So now what do you have? We have a housing crisis now. We can't afford to move out. And it's like the people that did, it's like, oh, you guys just suck. You suck. Skill issue. Just get better. This makes me very angry. I gotta find someone to take my anger out on. So, okay, we gotta stop renting because this is not affordable anymore. Let's go buy a house. So you go back into the housing market just to realize that all the houses have doubled in price. Oh my goodness. Right when you're losing hope, you think it's all over. All of a sudden, housing market crash. Oh my goodness, the day is saved. We can afford houses now, is what I would say if that would happen. Because it seems like now the only hope that a lot of people have to buy a house, if they're not just making absurd amounts of money, is just waiting for a 2008 financial crash again. It's not out of the question that it can happen again. It definitely could, but when that is anyone's guess. No one knows when that's gonna happen. Don't happen yet. I don't have money saved up. Now, what can we do to stop this? Just make more money, which, you know, that is possible, but, you know, that's always a lot easier said than done. So what is a possible solution to this? Guys, okay, hear me out. I got an idea. So basically what we do, we go up to the people selling homes, and then what we do, you see, they're selling the house for $400K. Offer them $1. They're gonna be so dumbfounded and taken aback that they're gonna do like 16 backflips in a row, call you stupid, and then see that no one is actually paying for the house, and then they'll just give it to you for $1. Guys, this is totally real and not fake at all. But what is the main reason for this happening? How could something be so affordable all the way up pretty consistently through history, all up until a certain point? Well, I think it actually goes way back further than just 2020. Back in the 1980s, something happened. Something happened with income, the average person versus top 1% earners. Because up until that point in the economy, it was pretty consistent up until then. Something happened to where
There's something going on here. The rich are getting really rich really fast. I mean, what these lines all show is that 1980 was kind of this inflection point in our economy, where the top earners kind of started to get in on most of the prosperity.
the saying goes, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. My theory into what is going on is that in the early 1980s, the top marginal income tax fell dramatically from around 70% in 1980 to 50% by 1982, and then all the way down to 28% by 1988. That meant the wealthy could keep far more of their income earned each year. Another thing was the shift to a more winner-take-all economy, mostly with technological advancements and the globalization of businesses, to where businesses could now operate and sell globally, which supercharged the rewards for those who were already at the top. Executives also started testing out different pay structures, shifting from mostly salaries to more stock options and performance bonuses. Why this caused such a drastic shift is because linking pay to stock prices gives executives a leveraged bet on market performance, with very little downside or risk. And the scale of these bets are huge, basically meaning since stock prices can be influenced by other things outside of their own doing, such as events happening in the world or employees doing a better job at making their product better, falling interest rates, and a booming economy, this can lead to company profits going way up, even if the CEO's performance is mediocre. So once the market took off in the 80s and 90s, this system funneled a disproportionate share of the gains to the people at the very top. The people that just have absurd amounts of money, we know that they can just afford a bunch of houses, they just buy it up, they buy up the entire neighborhood. What I think is going on is that they're just buying them at a certain price, raising up the prices, which, you know, raises up the price ceiling for houses all around in the surrounding area, and then the cycle repeats in a different area to where then, since the houses are now just becoming more expensive, then people think, oh, the median housing prices is like this, so that means people must make this much money over here. You know, we've seen this exact thing happen in Wyoming, you know, the state where no one lives, to where a bunch of multimillionaires started buying up properties there, you know, like really expensive multi-million-dollar properties. The average income for that area was pretty normal, but now it's over 6 figures. And most of the people there, a good 90% of them don't make more than 6 figures in that area. And what that's done is that it's inflated the housing market in that area specifically. It's pricing everyone out of that area. I think that's what's happening now, but on just a bigger scale around the entire United States. So now it's gotten to the point to where we just have this entire housing crisis, to where we can't have people moving out starting their lives without getting to severe amounts of debt. It really feels like now the only way to really get that experience of living alone is if you get into debt going into college, you know, getting your own college dorm, or if not your own college dorm, you know, you have to do it with roommates now to, you know, separate the costs, level it out a bit. For the people that have housing included in their scholarships for college, it's almost like housing in college for them now. It's like a free trial. It's like, this is what you can get. So work harder so you can achieve this, except whoops, sorry. Turns out the degree that you have, it's actually not going to be enough to support this lifestyle. So get out of here. You suck. Skill issue. Get ready. You know, with all the new houses, you know, even new new construction. People are getting away with building worse quality houses. You look at videos of new construction of new properties being built, and they're just made of the cheapest quality material they could find to make it look fancy and charge you double the median cost for a terrible home. Homes built this year should not be fixer-uppers.
That's that good stuff. That's that structural foam. We fill in any gap that we see with structural foam. Oh, we're gonna need some more structural foam. They missed a spot.
And that is on a $1.3 million house.
So we have these really nice looking houses, but they're made of like paper walls. How is this supposed to survive, a natural disaster? How is this supposed to survive wear and tear over time? And the answer is it's not. It's specifically built just for profit. And let's buy up all the properties. Let's buy up the entire neighborhood, build them out of cheap garbage material. So then we can charge all this money for all these houses. Let's charge $500,000 per house here. And then when they break, it's not going to be our problem because they would have already been sold.
Wait a minute. This cannot be turned off. That valve is up against the wall. Problem number 2 is I smell gas. So let's do a little test on some gas leakage. Kind of a smaller leak, but it's there.
And then we're gonna inflate the housing market in this area. And then the jobs aren't gonna be able to keep up with it. So then we're gonna price everyone out. So then eventually all of us are just gonna own all of it. So then we'll have a monopoly on all the houses in this area. And then we'll charge whatever we want. It really seems like owning a house now is just becoming more and more out of reach for the average person. The only chance we have of buying a house is if either you're making a lot of money or you team up with multiple incomes to afford a place to live. There's a lot of people that have houses now, but they don't own it. They're just renting out the house with multiple people that aren't their spouse. Like, this isn't sustainable. This can only last for so long. So I have hope that, there can be another housing market crash to where all the prices just go back down. But will that happen? We don't know. Because yes, technically rent is cheaper if you live alone, but for most areas, it's just not really sustainable. It's not affordable anymore. But guys, it's okay because I have the secret. I know the secret to fixing all of this. The government doesn't want me to tell you guys this because this is just too juicy of a secret. So basically, what we need to do is we need